Hey, mic check. Can you hear and see me more importantly now? Hello, hello. Can you see me? I know we're 90 seconds out. Okay, awesome. Good to go.
Today we announced that North Carolina schools will be open for both in-person and remote learning.
Governor Roy Cooper said students will get to go back to class this fall. Schools are reopening under Plan B. Now, Plan B is a mixture of in-classroom and remote learning. The governor also stressed each district can move to Plan C, which is all remote learning. So we are still in a bit of uncertainty right now. But the governor said his decision came after extensive discussion with both experts and others.
I want to share more information about some of the requirements for schools under this plan.
The governor says face coverings are required for all staff, all students, kindergarten through 12th grade. He says the state will provide at least 5 reusable masks to all student and staff at the beginning of the school year. Students will also receive a symptom check every day. Class schedules must provide for extra time for frequent hand washing. Schools are also required to limit class sizes and the total number of people in the building. Again, we want to stress districts have the option to move to an alternative in-person schedule or even go to full remote learning. The governor says if the virus conditions worsen between now and the school year, the state can choose to enforce full remote learning like it did at the end of last year. Mandy Cohen, the director of public health, says children are less likely to catch COVID-19, less likely to spread it, and less likely to get severe illness if they do catch it. Now, Governor Cooper also announced that the state will stay in phase 2 for at least another 3 weeks. That is August 7th. Good afternoon. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Taheshah Moyes alongside Eric Chilton here. We are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. Be sure to use that hashtag 4 to 5 and stay connected with us online as we stream our live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It was a long-awaited decision, but Guilford County Schools was ahead of the game. District leaders gave WFMY News 2's Jess Winters a walkthrough of how social distancing and other safety measures will be implemented in the classroom.
Taheshah, with that August 17th start date fast approaching, Guilford County Schools leaders say they didn't wait for that final decision from Governor Cooper to start making those arrangements. So I went on a walk through a tour here at Sternberger Elementary in Greensboro with the district to kind of get an idea of how they're going to make this work. Some key points. There are a lot of misconceptions about 50% capacity. The district clarified they will be operating at 50% of what the building can handle, driven by fire codes, not 50% of the class size. So, for example, one third grade classroom that normally seats 21 will now seat 16. All students are able to sit 6 feet apart comfortably at that rate. Another major takeaway, students will be in the same classroom essentially all day. Lunch will be eaten in the classroom, and the idea is less mingling between different groups, less exposure. Now, GCS, is well aware that they're going to need more funding, they're going to need more custodians, and they're going to need more teachers to make all of this work. I'll have more information on that coming up at 5.
Jess, thank you. Before the governor's announcement, I wanted to gauge where you think schools should be come the fall. So I asked you to weigh in on which plan you had hoped to see. Here's what you had to say. Keeping in mind, Plan A was in person with minimal restrictions, Plan B in person with restrictions, and Plan C remote learning only. Our first comment coming from Cecil writes, Plan B, the overall safety of the students and teachers must come first. Adrian says C, I cringe at how many adults are more annoyed by the inconvenience than the absolute present danger. Raquette says Plan B unless the rates of cases increase. And Amy says Plan B with the option to go to C if things worsen. They'll have to wear masks probably anyway. And if they are doing health checks before they can enter the school, hopefully that'll help weed out sickness. And I got to say, Eric, I think Amy has a crystal ball because she hit it right there on the nose. Plan B with restrictions and those health screenings.
Yeah, it's interesting to me too that because I was thinking Plan B would probably be where they would go, and indeed it was. But the fact that they leave it open for individual districts to make adjustments based on their current situations, I think is perfect, because there are some counties that are more rural than others that do not have much of a problem. So it'll be interesting to see how all this pans out.
Yeah, it's hard for a one-size-fits-all approach, especially when it does come to school districts, because each district gets a certain amount of funding that has to go into play as well.
That's exactly right. All right, so let's talk about this, because we know there are definitely varying options, right? Everybody on whether we should go back to school or not. A lot of people have strong opinions on this, but we want to do kind of an unofficial poll to see what the kids are saying. So here's what a random selection of elementary school kids had to say about returning to school or remaining at home.
I think we need to go back to school because at home is more of a relaxing place than a school place, and I think we should have social interactions and still have fun.
Well, we should go back to school so people can see their friends and play with each other, but there is a few reasons we shouldn't go back to school, because if somebody gets it, the whole school could get it, and then we would just have to shut down again, and that would really stink.
I do want kids to go back to school because if you want to be something like a scientist like me, I want to be one.
I would go back to school because I miss seeing my friends.
I don't think we should go back to school because it's putting students at risk, but it's also putting teachers at risk, and no amount of social distancing can really completely stop the spread of the virus.
I think we should go back to school, but half the class would go one day and the rest of the class will go the next day because I don't like online learning.
I think we should start off at school because we get to meet our teachers and see what our classes are and actually see the middle school. But I'm afraid that if we do go back, the virus will get more out of control, because if one person gets it, pretty much everyone has it.
I think it just depends on whether the coronavirus spikes up, or like if it spikes up, we probably should just stay homeschooled or stuff.
Yes, I would like to go back to school so you can actually interact with people and see people.
I think we should wait a little bit longer.
For what?
Because of the virus.
Now, there is a petition going around requesting UNC's Board of Governors to move all classes online for the entire UNC system, which would, of course, include UNCG here in Greensboro. Now, there are more than 1,300 signatures. That petition is also pushing for routine coronavirus testing on campus, strong contact tracing, and more transparency between schools and faculty, students, and staff. The petition does have the support of faculty, staff, and students from across North Carolina. UNC system officials released a statement saying, in part, we are taking the necessary precautions to ensure our campuses are safe spaces to teach, study, live, and work.
Well, on the West Coast, students are not going back to classrooms. That would be in Los Angeles and San Diego. The superintendents, they released a joint announcement Monday talking about the fall semester here, and students will start classes in the fall, but online only. The district has nearly 700,000 students and is the second largest school district in the country. Superintendents did not specify when students would return back to the school buildings. Nearby schools in Orange County, California approved a plan giving students the choice to either do remote learning full-time or a hybrid option where they go back to the classroom a few times a week. No more than 15 students would be allowed in a classroom under their hybrid plan. Now, in New Jersey, students are going back to classrooms, but the classrooms will look different there. They'll have only 11 desks. They'll be spaced about 6 feet apart with dividers between each desk. Students must wear a mask and walk down the hallways in lanes to avoid overcrowded halls. Lunchtime will be at the desks instead of a cafeteria. School buses will only let 22 students on board at a time, and the school will shut down every night for a deep cleaning. Teachers most likely will teach from a designated part of the classroom. If they did need to move around, they have to keep social distance in mind.
In some other news, bowling alleys have to shut down again after the North Carolina Supreme Court blocked a ruling allowing bowling alleys to reopen. The ruling would have overturned part of Governor Roy Cooper's executive order, keeping businesses like bowling alleys and gyms closed under Phase 2. Now, the state ruled in favor of state attorneys for Governor Cooper, who argue reopening these kinds of businesses would make it difficult to control the spread of coronavirus.
But we're looking at temperatures out there today, and it's another hot one, isn't it? Upper 80s to low 90s, just depending on where you are. 88 in Greensboro. Reidsville, you're up to 91. Walnut Cove at 89. Mount Airy, 88. Winston High Point at 90. Even tonight, we expect to drop down to about 70 degrees. Look for scattered clouds here or there. We're in this hot, dry period for a while, aren't we? Because tomorrow, 92. With partly cloudy skies and mainly dry conditions. Even when you look out now, with the temperatures as warm as they are, you're hard pressed to find much in the way of rain. There might be a little scattered shower, most of it eastern North Carolina toward Raleigh and Wake County in that area, and to the south in the central parts of South Carolina and the upstate. But across our region, we do remain fairly dry. Now, with that high pressure in control, it'll keep us hot for the next day or so. You see not a whole lot changing on our map there as we take our future cast all the way into Thursday morning and into Thursday afternoon. The same situation. We'll show you the 7-day, a few tweaks here and there. We'll have that coming up in a bit.
Wet and Wild will not open this season. The Greensboro Water Park released a statement today saying there's just too much uncertainty around the coronavirus pandemic. The park intends to reopen May of next year. All 2020 season passes and day admission tickets that were already purchased will be valid for the 2021 season. And this year's season pass holders will get an upgrade for exciting new benefits that'll come into play next season. North Carolina saw another record high day for hospitalizations on Tuesday. The number fell on Monday, though, breaking the streak. The state has more than 1,100 hospitalizations. 69 of those are new in the last 24 hours. 91% of hospitals are reporting, and that is higher than in recent days. 11% of completed tests are coming back positive. State health officials want to see that number fall to 5% in order to ease restrictions.
Well, there are multiple opportunities to get a coronavirus test in Guilford County this week. Tomorrow, Cone Health is partnering with Mount Zion for free testing there. That's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Star Med Healthcare is testing at Christ Cathedral of the Triad in Greensboro on Friday. There's free drive-through testing from 4 to 7 p.m. You can schedule a virtual visit before you get your test if you need to. Just go to starmed.care. And also at the Moorhead Recreation Center tomorrow and Friday in High Point, they'll be doing testing from 10 to 2. You have to call ahead to schedule your appointment, but walk-ins are welcome there. Wear a mask. They do require that if you go in for testing. And Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, they approved funding for PPE items to hand out to local businesses forced to shut down or change operations all because of the pandemic. The PPE kits have things like masks and gloves, sanitizer, and disinfectant wipes so that these businesses can stay open and stay safe. Reopen Forsyth, that initiative gives these items to businesses for free. The businesses just need to be locally owned and operated and require in-person interaction with customers to keep business flowing. If you need that kit, you go to forsyth.cc for more to schedule a pickup time there. The 4 to 5 continues in just a minute. Stay right there.
was slated to make a big impact in downtown Greensboro, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the North Carolina Folk Festival had to change course. The show will go on, but it will be virtual. I spoke with the festival's president to see how it will all work. Spanish music, reggae, and a cappella. Three very different styles of music played at the North Carolina Folk Festival in years past. But you won't be able to enjoy performances in the same way this September due to safety concerns.
You know, the very nature of what we do is convene large mass gatherings of people for a huge community celebration. And just given the circumstance with COVID-19, we're just not able to do that.
So the festival is going virtual. The Folk Festival will be partnering with other Greensboro organizations, Piedmont Blues Preservation Society and 7 Cinematics.
You know, really celebrating Greensboro and North Carolina is a major priority for us this year.
Artists will be invited to perform in iconic spots around Greensboro as if it were live, but it will be recorded and edited into 3 programs lasting between 2 and 2.5 hours long each.
Kind of like a movie format. That's what people can kind of expect. We hope they'll go out, get some food from local restaurants, bring it home, and enjoy a nice festival movie.
The performances will be released on the Folk Festival's YouTube channel and another streaming platform called nugs.net the weekend of September 11th through the 13th.
What we're hoping is that out of this, it's actually going to end up yielding a lot of new ways for us to present content going forward. So maybe down the road, people can expect to see more things from us online, in addition to getting back to normal and doing a big festival in downtown Greensboro in 2021.
Now, since things are going virtual, there will be no street vendors this year, but vendors do have the opportunity to sign up for a slot for next year. No word yet, though, on who will be performing, but that update is expected to come in coming weeks. We'll be right back. All right, time for your 4 to 5 roundup right now. The United States carried out the first federal execution in 17 years today in Indiana after the Supreme Court ruled to allow that execution. Daniel Lewis Lee was killed by lethal injection for murdering a family in Arkansas back in the 90s. The murder plot was part of a plan to build whites-only nation in the Pacific Northwest. Now, Lee claimed his innocence until the execution. Civil rights groups are criticizing officials for Lee's execution. Now, according to the Attorney General William Barr, the Justice Department has a responsibility to carry out sentences imposed by the courts. 2 other state executions are scheduled for later this week. Ghislaine Maxwell has pleaded not guilty in court today. Maxwell is accused of recruiting girls and women for Jeffrey Epstein more than 2 decades ago. She was arrested in July. Now, the indictment claims she prepared the girls to go through sexual abuse and sometimes was around when Epstein abused them. The suit also claims she lied during the 2016 deposition in a civil case against Epstein. In other news, investigators say Glee star Naya Rivera helped her son get back in their rented boat before she drowned in a Southern California lake. Her son was found alone, asleep on the boat in his life vest 3 hours after he and Rivera left that boating dock. The mother and son went swimming, but Rivera was not wearing a life vest. Authorities say that they believe she drowned accidentally and her body got trapped under vegetation in the lake for several days before they found her body floating on the water. Her Glee co-stars gathered at the lake to remember their friend. Naya Rivera was 33 years old. And back here in the Triad, Winston-Salem police say an argument led to a shooting near the food court in the Haynes Mall Monday. 20-year-old Jamil Zimmerman pulled out a gun and started shooting at another group of men. Police say a man from that group fired back at Zimmerman. No one was shot, but 2 people were arrested, including Zimmerman and another man named Antonio Barnes. Police are still searching for the man who shot back at Zimmerman. If you missed the announcement of Governor Roy Cooper's dealings with schools, we will have a recap for you coming up later on your 4 to 5. We'll be right back. California's governor ordered bars and indoor businesses to close around the state. That includes restaurants, wineries, movies, zoos, and museums. The state has more than 329,000 positive coronavirus cases. Bars, taverns, and breweries in Las Vegas also have to shut down again. Nevada's governor says 50% of bars fail to enforce mask wearing and social distancing. The governor says that his decision is based on advice from federal health experts. Now, they are not the first states to make these decisions. Miami, Florida, if you remember, they shut down indoor dining, gyms, and similar businesses as cases increased. The city is now considered to be an epicenter of the pandemic, according to infectious disease specialists. And Eric, as I'm hearing things closing down again, this kind of reminds me of that report that we talked about a few months ago, saying some experts saying that the best way to control the virus is to go through these periods where we have strict lockdowns and then open things up and then lockdowns again to try to preserve the economy that way as well.
Yeah, I mean that's I think someone described it. They called it like a pulse system, and it does make sense that you've got to let states and businesses make some money somehow. And I know, like in South Carolina, they're seeing lots of spikes in cases down there. I know Myrtle Beach is pretty rough right now, but that state is a tourism-based state, so I think they have to do little bits at a time. You're exactly right. It may be the only way some of these businesses can make it. Let's talk about a forecast real quick. So I wanted you to see that these temperatures are sort of helping with the development, you would think, of a shower or two, because anytime we get in those upper 80s and low 90s, you're like, oh, well, we're going to get a little pop-up shower. Well, guess what? We're at 88 degrees and we're just not seeing a whole lot. We have enough dry air in place. And really, even though we see those high temperatures, and yes, you can get a little pop-up shower, it's not as widespread as it normally would be. The planning forecast for tonight shows 70 for that overnight low, 88 by midday, the high tomorrow 92. And again, it's fairly dry. I mean, look at the rain chances, 20% tomorrow. That's not a lot. Usually we see a 30 to 40% late day pop-up variety. We do get that on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, thank goodness. But the highs are locked in the low 90s all the way through the 7-day period. And Monday, Tuesday, a 30% chance of a shower or storm in the late day. Hey there, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey Tosh, can you look at the lead to Adure's package? It looks like a line got deleted or something. Oh, it got moved by mistake.
Hi. Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Taheshah Moyes. The 4 to 5 is an interactive newscast. We are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world. So be sure to join the conversation and use that hashtag 4 to 5 to stay connected. We are live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Well, it is the answer parents, students, and teachers have been waiting for. Governor Cooper recommends school districts reopen this fall under Plan B, which is a hybrid of in-class learning and remote learning. Districts will have the option to reopen under Plan C, which is all remote learning for students. Now, students and staff will need to follow strict safety guidelines when they head back to the classroom in the fall. Everyone in school will be required to wear a mask at all times, and the state will provide all teachers, students, and staff with 5 cloth masks that are washable and reusable. Social distancing is a top priority. Everyone will have to stay 6 feet apart. Governor Cooper recommends one-way hallways and entryways.
This is the Plan B that we ask schools to prepare. It's a measured, balanced approach that will allow children to attend but provide important safety protocols.
Students will also be screened for symptoms before entering the building. There will be temperature checks at every school. Governor Cooper also said schools must schedule enough time to allow for hand washing.
Plan B is the baseline for our state. However, as I said earlier, districts can choose Plan C, which requires all remote learning, if they determine that that's best for those children, parents, and teachers in that area.
Governor Cooper stressed that this plan could change depending on the latest coronavirus numbers. We could see all North Carolina schools switch back to all remote learning like they did in March, depending on the status of coronavirus statewide. Right now, Guilford County Schools is hosting a virtual board meeting to talk about its reopening plan. We will bring you those details as soon as they become available. But for more information on the decision for Plan B of reopening and what that entails, head over to WFMYnews2.com.
So the governor emphasized that he worked with health experts to come up with today's decision. WFMY News 2's Aduria Chumba heard from Duke University experts on reopening.
The health experts say the decision to reopen schools was not an easy one, but it was necessary because for many families, schools play other critical social purposes beyond just learning and academics. Purposes which impact children's welfare, like feeding, childcare, and psychological needs. The experts say local factors, though, should drive how schools reopen, and school districts and employers need to make plans to protect teachers and for when parents have to stay home. I also asked the experts if they'll send their kids back to school and how.
They will each be going back to school in a hybrid fashion, and in some cases in a fashion in which they will be deliberately sort of clustering.
All of us who are parents and working parents have been talking with each other about how we can support each other, how we might, like Dr. Taheshah said, create clusters where we have caregivers and parents who share the responsibilities on different days.
The pandemic is not going away anytime soon, and so really relying on our communities to see how we can support each other to create an environment where learning can occur and parents can function, which function also means having some sort of a stable income, working if you need to, or being home with the kids if you need to.
Meanwhile, Guilford County school leaders upset many teachers with a recent survey they felt was manipulative.
And many teachers are upset because the results said something like 72% of teachers are comfortable going back into the building, which is not an accurate number considering none of us knew that there was an option to say that we were comfortable teaching online. I think it's insane to think that it's a good idea to send those kids back into the building where you're cramming tons of kids into a classroom. They're not going to consistently wear their masks.
Now, CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield says keeping students out of classrooms could do more harm than good. Redfield says students' mental health benefit from being in school. The students also get access to meals. And he adds that schools play an important role in reporting child abuse. Redfield says the virus has caused few deaths in children.
Well, new at 4:30, the Trump administration just announced that they will rescind the rule which prevented international students from taking online classes in the fall. Now, multiple states had filed lawsuits to challenge this rule. Harvard and MIT had a court hearing today to challenge that. ICE announced the White House decision just as that hearing got underway. International students will be able to take online classes if their school takes a remote learning approach in the fall. They will not have to transfer or leave the country. Now, Governor Cooper also decided to extend phase 2 of reopening in North Carolina for another 3 weeks. That means the state will stay in phase 2 until at least August the 7th. Phase 2 is set to expire this Friday on the 17th. Under phase 2, there is no stay-at-home order, but staying at home is encouraged. Restaurants are able to stay open as long as they follow social distancing guidelines and limit the number of customers. People can still attend church, but bars are still going to have to wait to reopen.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. The Federal Treasury Department says the budget deficit is up to $864 billion. Last year, it was only $8 billion. That deficit grew dramatically as the government took steps to help the economy recover from the coronavirus pandemic. The federal deficit hit over $2 trillion in the first 9 months of the year. And the FDA is adding more hand sanitizers to the list containing methanol, which can be toxic if absorbed through your skin or ingested. There are 59 total sanitizers that have been added to the list, some even being recalled for having wood alcohol. That includes brands sold at Sam's Club and BJ's Wholesale Club. Walt Disney is temporarily closing the Hong Kong in Disneyland as the coronavirus cases continue to rise. That park reopened just a month ago, so that closing tomorrow will be there until further notice. Resort hotels, though, are staying open with limited services. Hong Kong has seen more than 1,500 coronavirus cases as of Monday. And here in the Triad, Scuppernong Books in Greensboro is limiting services again. The bookstore is going back to appointment-only browsing starting Wednesday. Now, back in June, the store was allowing walk-ins depending on how many people were inside the store at the time, but the bookstore is not requiring appointments to pick up ordered books. Now, to schedule a browsing appointment, all you have to do is visit their Facebook page.
Hot, hazy, and humid, although fairly dry when it comes to rain chances out here over the next couple of days, at least today and tomorrow. Those rain chances down to about 20%. Now, does that mean you will not see one at all? No, you could still see one. They're just very isolated for today and tomorrow. Here's what the map looks like. You can see that we're kind of trapped in that hot condition there. High pressure to our north and another one building to the south, and that stationary front is sort of eroding away. Now, the cold front that approaches from the west, albeit fairly weak, could still help us with rain chances in the late day period as we head into the next couple of days or so. Tonight, that overnight low at 70 degrees, scattered clouds. It'll be partly cloudy tomorrow as well, and 92, mainly dry. Late day chance of a shower or storm. Hey, we've got it 30 to 40%. That's normal for us. We'll hold that Thursday all the way through Tuesday of next week. High temperatures really aren't changing a great deal. From 92 tomorrow, we'll hover between 91 and 93 for the next 7 days straight, and every day, partly cloudy skies with a late day shower or storm chance.
You hear experts say it all the time. Look for the red flags, right? Something's fishy when there's a red flag. What's a red flag to you?
Something that happened to me just yesterday, a call to complete an application for a program I never signed up for.
Yeah, that's a problem, right? Because they're just calling you out of the blue and they're trying to, get you in. You've probably heard me talk about payment by gift cards is a red flag anytime someone calls you and says they need that done. But sometimes the story that the person is telling you seems very believable, like the person who called you yesterday. Right. I'm sure they seem believable. So here's something to keep in mind.
Scammers are very adept at making their emails look like they come from a source that you would respect. It could be PayPal, it could be your bank. Just like people know that if you get a call on your phone and it looks like it's coming from the FBI or the IRS, chances are that it's not. This is the spam we call spoofing. This is where scammers try and make their phone call to you or their email to you look like it's legitimate. The point is to convince you to do something that the scammers want you to do. It could be opening an attachment, clicking on a link, sending them the number on the back of a gift card. It's all designed to separate you from your money.
Just recently, a friend of mine tried to sell an item on eBay and a scammer tried to pull one over on them. When my friend called me, there were several of these red flags that I picked up on, and I want you to know them as well. The story is tonight at 6. Coming up next at 5:30, Tax Day is tomorrow.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5. Police in New York City are looking for whoever vandalized a Black Lives Matter street mural. The mural was outside Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. It was defaced with red paint. On Monday night, the video surfaced showing a man in daylight but partially disguised with a mask and a hat splashing red paint on the mural, then running away. Mayor Bill de Blasio addressed the incident on Twitter saying, quote, "To whoever vandalized our mural on 5th Avenue, nice try. The New York City Department of Transportation has already fixed it." The crews did fix that mural on Tuesday.
A Confederate monument in Persons County is remaining up for now. Protesters in Roxborough have been protesting that monument at the Person County Courthouse for weeks. Well, county commissioners say the statue will stay put for now, saying the community must raise around $20,000 on their own to have the statues moved. The county says they lack the funds to move it. One group says they will keep protesting every day until the statues come down.
Well, you know, sometimes having difficult conversations, that can be exactly what you need to sort of move through a hard time and come out stronger on the other side. That's exactly what the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce is hoping for in the wake of their latest project. I spoke with chamber officials about the One City, One Film campaign that runs next week. Pretty cool. Take a look.
Violence, brutality.
Thanks for being with us today, guys. I appreciate your time. Hey, this is a really cool idea. Brent, I want to start with you about how did this idea come up and take us through to the present time with it?
Eric, we've got a program at the Greensboro Chamber called Other Voices. That is a diversity and inclusion program that we run on an annual basis. And as a staff, we started talking about the kinds of conversations that occur in that program should be occurring throughout the community. It was suggested that a really good movie, a really powerful film to see would be The Hate U Give. And so we thought, let's take a page out of that Other Voices program and build some sharing sessions around what folks thought about that film. We'll be part of that conversation, but that is a community-wide conversation, probably not just a Chamber of Commerce conversation.
So Stephanie, obviously we can't all get together and watch this film in the theater. So how, just the nuts and bolts of how you're going to make this happen?
So you can go to our website, which is greensboro.org/onefilm. And there's where you'll be able to find different ways to watch it, different platforms, Netflix, Fandango, Hulu. So if you go there, you can click on that, as well as register for the different session opportunities to join the conversation with people of our community.
It's very good. Great stuff you guys are doing. Thank you so much. And I'm sure a lot of us will be logging on with you next week. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. The times do vary, so we'll link you to that through this story on our website, WFMYnews2.com. Look for that. It's to spark conversations, and if you haven't seen that movie yet, then at least watch the trailer on YouTube so you kind of get an idea of what it's all about. Interesting film, and I think it will cause a lot of good conversations to get people to kind of talk through this.
Right, and I watched that movie, and it's a tough movie to watch at certain points, but it really does have you just thinking about society as a whole. And as I was listening through your story, the situation kind of reminds me of a book club, but we're just doing it with movies, and then we're going to talk about, topics there afterwards.
It's exactly right, and they will have some facilitators there to help keep the conversation so that we, keep it a respectful conversation. I believe Mayor Nancy Vaughn is going to be one of those facilitators at some point too.
All right, well, more of the 4 to 5 is coming up after this break. Continue the conversation, though, with us on our Facebook live stream. We'll be right back.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you hear me, Tasha? All right.
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3.
Although many have been pushing for the Washington Redskins to change their name for years, there's one Native American who has not. Lance Wetzel's father, Walter, designed the team logo for that team in 1971. Now, they are members of the Blackfeet tribe, and he says the logo was not offensive, but rather evokes a sense of pride. Wetzel said his fellow tribesmen understood changing the name, but not the logo. Now, Jalen Gilkey has been watching social media posts on this topic. Jalen, what are people saying?
Another day, another super popular Facebook post. We had over 400 posts on today's question, and we wanted to know, how do you guys feel about it? Our first comment and question comes from Donna. She wants to know, has anyone asked the Native Americans how they feel about the name? Robert, he wants to know, he wants to say, removing all signs of Native Americans does not honor them. Mary says the people need a vote, majority rule, democracy. And Chase, he says they feel bad for offending natives, but won't give them what's due. Don't patronize me by symbolism alone.
All right, Jalen, and if you want to join that conversation, just head over to our Facebook page and leave your comment there. Well, one man is hoping that the name change will turn into cold, hard cash for him. Martin McCulley, an actuary from Alexandria, Virginia, has been trademarking potential Redskins names for years. McCauley said he originally offered the team those names for free to facilitate the name change, but the NFL never responded. So now he's saying he will let them use them for a price. Here are some of the names he's trademarked: Washington Red Wolves, Washington Red Tails, Washington Monuments, Washington Americans, and Washington Veterans. And while we're on the subject, one Michigan high school has already voted last month to change their name. Papa High School was also named the Redskins until this week. They went with the Red Wolves instead. And it was interesting, Eric, because we were just talking about how there were these popular names, and then this guy, he's like, you know what? I'm going to try to make a buck off of this.
Yeah. So originally when I was reading this, he said, I gave the NFL like 10 days and said, hey, here's a bunch of ones that I've trademarked. Feel free to use them. And he said nobody got back to him. And then after a while, he's like, okay, well, then I'll just charge for them if they want to go this route. And so now, but some attorneys, I saw a CBS News report that says some of the attorneys say he may not, because the way the law is written, he may not get paid even if they use it. So that's an interesting thing. We'll see how all this plays out.
I just want to know, how do you go about contacting the NFL? Did he tweet them? Did he send them an email? Did he call them? Did he actually hear a response back before saying? Because I'm like, okay, you gave them 10 days, but how do you know they even got the message?
That's right. That's right. You don't just pick up the phone and call the commissioner.
Right.
Doesn't work that
Roger
way.
Goodell, hello. I don't think it works that
That's
way.
right. All right, let's talk about our forecast. 70 degrees will be our low temperature for tonight. That means you'll get that tomorrow morning when you make your way out. Partly cloudy skies. Then heading into tomorrow, it's a hot one again, 92 degrees, and we'll be mainly dry. The rain chances are slim as we head into the next 24 hours. But after that, we go back to a normal situation. Not elevated rain chances. I almost wish we had some of that. It's kind of dry out there, but a 30 to 40% chance of late day pop-up showers or storms. That's normal for us. We'll get that Thursday all the way through Tuesday of next week. We're pretty consistent here. Temperature highs do not change a great deal, but we'll go with 92 for tomorrow and again on Thursday. Our overnight lows are consistently in the lower 70s, usually that 20 degree spread or so, low 70s, low 90s. That's where we're going to stay. Our average high right now is 88 degrees. So we're in some cases, 4 or 5 degrees above normal. 92 for your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're down to 91. Best rain chances Friday, Saturday afternoon, back to a 30% and low 90s for Sunday through Tuesday.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, we are on top of two major announcements from Governor Roy Cooper. Phase 2 of the reopening plan has been extended another 3 weeks. Plus, North Carolina schools will reopen under Plan B, a combination of in-person and remote learning. Guilford County Schools shows us what classrooms could look like. Next at 5.